Man, there's nothing better than getting out and exploring. And today on this quick hike, I opted to carry in my pocket a compact fixed blade that I think has a ton of potential. The blade I want to tell you about today is the Ukrainian-made BPS Finn Lite. And what do I mean by potential? Well, I've carried it now on a few treks as a companion blade for carving, whittling, and bushcraft, but because of the unique configuration and mounting options with the sheath, I've also carried it as just a pocket EDC fixed blade just around the property and running a few errands. Means that it could fit the bill for a lot of different scenarios when you want a compact fixed blade. But there are definitely a few kind of wonky choices that they went with in design features and a few details that you definitely need to be aware of before you decide whether or not the $25, which is what I spent on this blade, makes sense, or if it's better just to go with something else in general. That's what we're going to find out today. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm Aaron. This is Gideonstactical. Let's dive in and have some fun. Now guys, I have a ton of Moras, and we'll talk about how this stacks up a little bit later, but I think one of the things that really gravitated me to this right out of the gate is just the style. It has a very rustic kind of profile, old school. We have bolt-on handles, and then a full tank construction on the blade. Now, it's very lightweight. I believe last I checked, I think it was like just under 3 ounces for the knife itself. It's gonna be about 2 millimeters or less than 1/8 of an inch thick. And then it's 80 millimeters or I believe it's like 3.2, just under 3.5 inches of overall blade length. So with those characteristics in mind, I really wanted to see how this would perform, not only as just a general utility knife, but then also in that bushcraft, carving, paring knife kind of style. Water pipe has no abilities, and that did nothing. That did nothing to that edge. That's good. Those tomatoes are wrinklier than your mom's face. But look at that, 0 pressure. Oh yeah, dude. Squeaky. Yeah, nice. I don't know, I'm always mixed about using a Scandi for food prep. Do you guys not mind it? Oh yeah, dude. Look at that guidance heat seeker. Woo! Hope you guys are getting ready for Thanksgiving. Dude, EDC delight. Cutting the paracord like it was nothing. Man, they should invent like a lighter that fits inside the handle of a knife. I'm actually shocked for that exact reason. So you just like, psst, just imagine melting the butt end of that right there. Oh yeah. Yep. And what I really like are those shoulders. Those shoulders are really good right there. Giving me a little something to grab onto and then just push. Boom. Listen, you may not always like my sound effects, but it helps me to create the content for you. That's a rubber mat. Roll that little sucker up. There you go. I don't even think about it. It just happens. It's just who I am. And if you don't like it, there's 1,000 other YouTubers making good content too. Go check them out. Oh. Dude, yeah. That's a 7,000 pound toe strap Gonzola. Now there are those few aspects that left me kind of scratching my head a little bit that you definitely need to be aware of before you were to pull the trigger on this knife. And we'll get to that in just a moment, but there's a piece of gear that gives me such peace of mind that it's become essential when I go out exploring. And it is the sponsor of today's video, which is ZOLEO and their standalone satellite communicator. And what's really exciting is that they're offering their lowest price ever now through December 31st. And that word standalone is really key. With so many smartphones, mine included now, that has some version of an SOS and emergency texting, watching my buddies on a recent backpacking trip in Wyoming, trying to hunt the night sky for 10, 15 minutes, trying to log into a satellite to then send a text or do whatever, convinced me without a doubt that having a separate dedicated SOS device that I can hit the SOS button. I know it's going to jump onto the Iridium satellite network, and I'm going to be able to start communicating with first responders. They're going to get my GPS coordinates immediately, and I can even progressively communicate with them, letting them know what's going on and having an ETA until the emergency is resolved. That, along with water resistant, shock resistant, and 200 plus hours of battery life. I went almost a week and I still had like 40% life on this thing on our recent backpacking trip. And so having those features just makes sense for me versus just relying on a fragile, extremely expensive cell phone. And with the sale going on through the end of the year and subscription plans that can fit just about any budget, it just makes sense to have a dedicated satellite communicator like ZOLEO. So I have a link popping up. It's in the description box below. You guys can check it out and see all the different features that this device offers and stay connected and give you that peace of mind when you go out on your adventures. Okay, now this is kind of a downer. We've got a slightly crowned spine, rounded spine. Nothing. You got to come all the way down. I don't even know if there, but it is nice. I can feel it if I kind of like really work at it. I think this was 90. This is 90 back here. So I wish that they had left that 90. I don't know. I mean, it makes it a little more ergonomic, I guess, if you're really putting, you know, like a lot of pressure and stuff. But you are going to have to hit that on a grinder and 90 that spine if you want it to throw sparks. I don't know. I think for me, I'd prefer it to be 90. Most BPS knives are. So it's just kind of like a weird change for them. But leave a comment. Let me know what you think about that. Now, one thing I was a little surprised about is I could absolutely like rub my finger on it and not be concerned about, you know, cutting my finger when it came to me. Most BPS knives are nice and sharp. Now, that's a non-issue. 1066 carbon steel, even though they do a 57 to 59 HRC, it's very easy to resharpen, maintain. So you are going to want something like this, a Work Sharp field sharpener, to hone, maintain. But I literally just like ceramicked this thing and was easily able to get it to the sharpness that you're seeing. So in this video, you're seeing after I honed it for about 5 minutes. Now, it doesn't take a lot of skill, doesn't take a lot of energy and effort, but that's just something to be aware of on this thing. Let's work that piece of wood down a little bit, get it all nice and flat, because you want to, when creating a feather stick, look at that. Oh, what? I'm loving it. You're wanting to create those angles to engage for the next one. And so if your wood is all wonky, you're gonna have a really hard time. Look at that one. Oh my gosh. Yes, please. I mean, this is really where this knife is just gonna be a dreamboat, is when you're wanting to just sit around a campfire. They're working pretty good. There's not really any lips or anything like that. Really good radiusing right there on that wood. And obviously, this is what I really like as well, is that you can just take these off and then you can stain them, do different things. You could trick it out and make your own handle scales if that's something you want to try and get into, stuff like that. Really, really good. But with my large size hands, 3 1/4 knuck span, look at that right there. The guard, I like that it's not like a true puko. You know, it gives me a little bit of something to protect myself. And just really, it works, man. Ergonomically, zero complaints with that. All right, this is a pretty bad piece right here. I got some knots, different stuff, you know, but maybe this is all you got and you just want to break it down to do some whittling, or you got to make something. So I'm going to try this and we'll see how the edge holds up. You know, not ideal, but to tell me that no one's ever going to do this, and I love the comments, you know, like, don't be batoning, that's what the hatchet's for. Dude, what if I don't have a hatchet? I mean, why can't I just do this? And my knife should be able to handle this type of stuff. I don't know. That's me. Maybe the Vikings would be like, you guys are animals, for the way that we treat our knives now in the 21st century compared to how they did. All right, let's do the pocket sheath method. Now, because it's leather, you know, don't just be like pounding it in there, and that is something, just kind of, you know, be smart. Don't be doing crazy stuff with it. It's not Kydex, so it could, you know, puncture through. But with the Ulti clip, There it is. Easily fits in my pocket. I mean, I have my keys in here. Okay, so I have my keys in that front pocket, and that's how I've been seeing it, carrying it just like that. And I would put a lanyard on there because it is pretty snug. It's getting a little bit looser over time, like fitting in, like not in a bad way, but a lanyard would be helpful to just kind of like pull it out, especially in the beginning, and then maybe over time you can dump it if you want. But then obviously there's lots of other ways you can go about it with those 3 eyelets. And it did not come with this ulti clip, so that would be something you would need to invest in. But you could also do blade tech locks, molly locks, or just use paracord, leather thong, strap, you know, whatever, to lash in all kinds of different ways. All right, let's wrap up with the elephant in the room, you know, Mora knives. And I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of comments. Well, I can just get like a 511 or a 55370 or 71711, you know, whatever the model numbers are that they do. And I love those. I mean, do not get me wrong. I probably have close to a dozen that I've bought over the years, Mora 511s and similar, you know, models. And they've gone up a little bit in price. I used to get them for under $10. Now they're like 12, I think. But you know, you could probably ballpark get 2 of those for the cost of this. The difference, I think, a lot of it is just in, again, we keep coming back to this, like the style. You know, those Moras are durable, excellent, but they're polymer and they just feel, you know, they feel modern. This feels rustic. This feels like someone crafted it. When you grab ash wood in your hand, you know, you're like, let's go. You know, and yeah, you're going to have to invest a little bit more with, especially if you want to do an ulti clip, and, you know, you definitely want to have a decent sharpener, but you would with a Mora as well. I would argue that this 1066 with their HRC is pretty close to what Mora does with their carbon steels. You know, you're going to have to maintain it regularly, but the customization is there. And then, I mean, it's hilarious. You know, Mora goes out and uses basic stainless steel, and then I believe is what they were using. And then they did ashwood, and they were charging like $300, $250, whatever it was for that ashwood series, which is just comical. And this has about the same fit and finish as those did when I reviewed it. So I think when you really, you know, put it all together, the $25 that I spent, I'll have a link over to my Amazon store. You can check it out, as well as to BPS knives if you're in Europe or, you know, in other places that aren't the States. You can check those out. You can always explore and see those over on my Amazon affiliate store. But yeah, guys, I think it's a really cool adaptation that absolutely will work with a little bit of elbow grease and kind of tweaking it the way you want for either, you know, a compact companion blade bushcraft knife or for compact EDC. But I want to know from you guys, what do you think, especially if you own this BPS? Do you like it? Do you use it and carry it? And if so, how do you especially mount it in, you know, how you carry it? So appreciate your time, guys. Hope it's been fun, entertaining, and just showed you a blade and what it can and cannot do. Till next time, always remember, stay equipped, stay prepared. I'll see you out there.